Right on, everybody. I'm going to go through some multi-boxing basics today as I clear some trash with my alt raid. I've got a couple of raids on the server, a couple of 20-man raids. I've got one 40-man raid on this server, and I will show you how I multi-box and manage all different classes. Here you see me taking out the axe throwers at the beginning of ZG, and what you'll notice is that I bring up my melee behind me and leave hunters way up on top of the stairs and casters midway down the stairs. Mostly what happens when you multi-box is you stack a lot. I mean, you don't have to stack. Um, you can create macros that spread your guys out using hotkey, and I'll show you what I mean by that here in a second. But first, let's kill these axe throwers. Axe throwers at the beginning of ZG are really dangerous. That's going to be one of the first things that you encounter. One of the first challenges that you encounter as a multi-boxer is handling axe throwers, mostly because they do this whirlwind that just massacres your party if you don't know how to split them up like that. And when you get positioning and maneuver down, like the T button for my raids backs the hunters up only. The down arrow backs everybody up and disconnects them from the tank. The hunter's pulled, and so I make the hunters feign death. Normally I would just AoE this group. In fact, that's what I'm going to do right now. Just going to burn them down with AoE. Actually, they're both dead. Two of them are dead anyway. So, yeah, so we took a little more damage than we should have right there. So sue me. I don't think anybody died. Did anybody die? Nobody died! That's good. Okay, let's bring some bars out here. I still haven't decided on a raid tracker like Grid to track my raid as an add-on. I like to keep my add-ons minimalistic, to keep it simple, because every time you have to set up an add-on, you have to do it once for every character, and I had 40 characters, so I didn't want to deal with too much add-on setup. And when you're doing a lot of coding, the more add-ons you have, the more likely it is you make a variable or something that collides with a variable in another add-on, and then you get unexpected results. And yeah, so I mean, that doesn't happen very often, and I'm not saying that you should be scared of that if you try to use my code. But if my code does behave weirdly, it could be because I didn't exclusively name my name a variable well enough. It's happened once or twice. It's happened enough that, you know, I'm like, whatever. I'm just going to keep add-ons to a minimum, and really you don't need a lot of add-ons. But here's the thing. You do need add-ons. To make vanilla WoW work with multi-boxing, you need add-ons. If you don't know how to use add-ons, you are not ready to multi-box. There are two things you need to know to multi-box effectively. Let me bring this guy in front of my casters. I can turn my casters, but I'd rather move away from the hunters so that they get their range again. All right, so there are two things you need to know to multi-box successfully, and one is add-ons, and the other is knowing how to write little macros. Knowing how to write little macros is the gateway to multi-boxing. And by little macros, I mean before you do big chunks of code and write entire scripts for each type of class in your raid, you're going to start out by doing little macros. Like, let me give you an example. Okay, so here's a little macro. If is control key down, then use Great White Kodo. Else, if is alt key down, then follow assist. Else turbo. And stuff like that. A better example would be like a macro that decides to, when to do heroic strike for your warrior, how much rage you should have before you throw a heroic strike, so that you only use it as a rage dump and you don't burn your rage for more important abilities while wasting heroic strike or wasting rage on heroic strike. Anyway, you can't just throw down icons. You can't just throw down your spell icons onto your bars and expect to multi-box. It just won't work. It won't work effectively. You can do it. It's very primitive. It would be very, very primitive, and you would be very limited in what you could do. So here's how I do this pull sometimes when I really don't want to lose any guys. I'll just come up here and just fairy fire pull one of the guys and fight them on the bridge. It just forces the axe thrower to crest this bridge line, and as soon as the axe thrower comes over the crest, I switch to him, and I pretty much ignore everything else until the axe thrower is dead. And what I'm doing is I'm using multi-shot, I'm using blade flurry, I'm trying to hit multiple things at once. And you can see my hunters are just standing there like, what? He's in the minimum range. So I back up until my hunters can shoot their guns. I like to build raids that are a mix of classes rather than go crazy with one class. You can do that. That's another type of multi-boxing that people will make 20 enhancement shaman or 20 elemental shaman and just roll in and destroy everything in an instant. It's fine. Where that becomes limited is when you actually want to kill bosses with any kind of raid mechanisms. Bosses with raid mechanisms, you're gonna need some flexibility, and you're gonna need the tank DPS healer type of setup. In a lot of cases, multi-tank DPS healer setup. I know what you're saying. You're saying, oh man, my shaman can tank. Shaman are badass tanks. Yeah, that might be true. But I don't think you're going to get molten core bosses with a group of warlocks or a group of shaman. You just won't. It's too hard. All right, I don't know why I'm doing these, guys. This is really stupid. I don't need all this stuff. Although money's a little tighter than it has been. Mostly because I've been spending it on getting my Nax attunements. So you should have a key that mounts everybody on mounts. And for me, that key is Control 4. Control 4 tells everybody to mount up. Alt 4 tells everybody to follow and assist whoever the tank is. And whoever the tank is where my mouse is. Whatever window my mouse is, when I hit Alt 4, that person's the tank, and everybody follows that person. And it's really simple to set that up. It's not complicated coding. That's just changing your hotkey.net file a little bit. I explain it in my blog. All right, let's kill these axe throwers here. The people that I bring forward like that are all my melee. And this guy's about to get disarmed by my warrior. He used his disarm already on the first guy. Yeah, they're all my melee classes. with the exception of my elemental shaman, who I bring up to the front lines because he pulls. No matter what I do, no matter, you know, how I spec him and how I spec my tank, the elemental shaman is going to pull off of my tank. So instead of, oops, everybody pulled. Let's AoE these guys down. So when I AoE, I hit my 5 button, and what happens is all my warlocks, Hellfire, all my mages, Arcane Explosion, all my priests, Holy Nova, and that generates a lot of DPS. That was 3,000 DPS on 4 targets for this raid that is not really built to AoE. I have a raid. I can combine my AoE guys into an entire 20-man raid. And when I'm running my AoE raid, they can't do all the bosses because they're lacking some flexibility there, but they can do most of them, and they just absolutely annihilate every bit of trash in here. And nobody's drinking. That's all right. We're just going to do some lightweight mobs here. And I'm having an issue where my hunters are, in the last few days, I made a change and my hunters are no longer meleeing. So I've got to look at that. Oh geez, man, I accidentally charged the axe thrower. Okay, let's back up, everybody. Let's not go crazy. So basically all the other mobs here, you can kind of ignore the snakes and all that stuff. The healers can heal, and I don't know who's pulling, but that's not right. Shouldn't be able to pull like that. So I'm going to gather everybody up and AoE the rest of them down. Do I have enough juice to AoE the rest of them down? That's the question. We lost Brutalia. Yeah, we're running low on mana, so we're going to start losing people here. I'll grab everybody and tank. Do the classical tanking thing. Hunters back up till you can shoot. And stop dying, you fools! And we'll get ready for this boss right now. Okay, everybody drink. Lost a few guys, no big deal. It happens. They died good soldiers. All right. When you multi-box, your bags fill up a lot. Your bags fill up constantly. So what you got to do is, when you multi-box, you got to have some sort of auto-delete routine that allows you to empty junk out of your bags that you always get. You're always getting this, this periodic junk that nobody wants, and your main guy needs to be a disenchanter. Komal, who I'm using right now in not my main raid. Komal, who I'm using right now, does not have enchanting. You only need an enchanting of 1 on this server to disenchant everything. So I just got to get off my butt and go get him enchanting of 1, and he'll be able to disenchant stuff. I really like, for clearing trash in every raid, I really like druid tanks on vanilla WoW. Okay. And what am I going to do, man? I've got all this stuff. We got Shaman Ocho, Siete, nobody here. Oh, Eversmile is a disenchanter. So I'll just give my stuff to Eversmile. Look at all this stuff. I shouldn't even be looting this stuff. I mean, I just delete. I mentioned that delete macro, or that delete function. I just delete like illusion dust and dream dust and stuff like that. These enchantables are worth almost nothing on my server, and so they're not worth a bag slot. I don't enchant anyway. I don't even enchant my own gear. I'm buffing. Where is, you know what? Kamal doesn't have a buff wall. I want to build my buff wall higher. But here's a buff wall over here. Eversmile's got it. And you can see my buff wall's getting higher and higher. Yes, yes, yes. Some of these windows I'm kind of worried about. I feel like my computer needs a fresh reboot. But they're lagging up there. Fortunately, those are people I don't really need to be perky during the boss fight. Okay, so the first boss I'm going to fight is the snake boss. And I'm going to do that on its own video.